Japan, home to some of the finest cuisine the world has to offer. From succulent buttery cuts of Wagyu beef to rich hearty bowls of ramen. I've always said that one of the best ways to base your trip to Japan is around food, given how hard it can be to find the authentic good stuff back home. And with over 137,000 restaurants in Tokyo alone, almost 600 of which hold Michelin stars, it's a daunting task to try and find the best places to eat. I mean, what dishes are even worth trying? Well, the short answer is all of them. Wow. But with most travellers visiting Japan for just 2 weeks, we need to make each and every day count. And so today, in this epic journey, we're going in search of the 12 must-try dishes that Japan has to offer. We'll hear the stories and the history behind each and every dish, and meet the incredible skilled chefs behind the scenes to learn the secrets of the trade. And we're not doing it alone either. Along our journey, we'll be joined by an array of amazing guests, and Ryotaro, as we enjoy every dish imaginable, from crispy and golden tonkatsu to juicy, delectable yakitori chicken, and perhaps the very best sushi that I've ever had in my entire 12 years spent living in Japan. So sit back, relax, grab some cup noodles, and prepare to become an expert on all things Japanese cuisine. Now, when it comes to dining out in Japan, particularly in cities, it is essential to make your restaurant reservation in advance. It'd be a real shame, if you came here for 2 weeks and missed out on the best thing about the country, i.e. the food. But I also realise if you don't speak Japanese, picking up the phone and making that reservation is a pretty stressful and nerve-wracking situation that often doesn't end well.
Hi, moshi.
Table for two, please?
日本語話せますか?
And so I'm delighted to say for this episode we're partnering up with Japan's #1 restaurant listing and reservation service, Tabelog. With over 860,000 restaurants and 65 million user reviews, Tabelog has become the gold standard for discovering the best restaurants in the country. Now, thankfully, it's easy to use in English. But most importantly, what makes Tabelog so damn popular in Japan is its iconic rating system, where the scores aren't simple averages, but are calculated by taking into account the influence of the users. As of now, the highest restaurant is about 4.66 out of 5. And in fact, a score of 3.5 is exceptional. Just 3% of the restaurants on Tabelog have over 3.5, and just 0.07% have surpassed 4 stars. 5 stars is essentially an unattainable godlike level. Best of all, Tabelog has its own award system, Hyakumeten, literally 100 famous restaurants, showcasing the best of the best in each category. For example, for Yakiniku, you'll find a list of the top 100 Yakiniku restaurants, or for Tonkatsu, the top 100 pork cutlet restaurants. This time, let's search for an upscale tempura restaurant in Ginza for 2 people this Friday at 7 p.m. Tempura Ginza Onodera comes up. We can take a quick look at the restaurant details, view the interior, course menu photos, and even reviews. Once you've found your dream restaurant, pick a date, party size and time, and off you go. But thanks to Tabelog for sponsoring this epic food-filled edition of Abroad in Japan. And now, let's go and check out the best goddamn restaurants in all of Japan. Ramen was introduced to Japan from China in the late 19th century and quickly became popular as a cheap and filling meal. By the mid-20th century, it had evolved into a uniquely Japanese dish in its own right, with regional variations emerging across the country. Meanwhile, instant ramen, invented in 1958 by Momofuku Ando, revolutionized the dish's accessibility, turning it into a staple food for millions. The 3 best-known variations are Hakata-style pork bone tonkatsu broth, Tokyo's soy sauce broth, and Hokkaido's rich, flavourful miso style. Still, it is an oversimplification to say you can only find 3 types of ramen in Japan. Every single region has its own style of noodles. But this widespread popularity is sometimes a double-edged sword, as finding a ramen that can live up to expectations can be an undertaking. Sometimes a poor bowl of ramen can end up salty, greasy, and generally unfulfilling. Just like our first guest, Seadog VA, who joins us for our first dish at Menya Ishikawa, a shop specialising in a rather special ramen topped with tender slices of roast beef instead of the typical braised pork.
今日はうちの2種類のラーメンで特製牛骨麺と特製豚骨麺、この2種類を作らせてもらいます。牛が具だくさん乗ってるような本当贅沢なラーメンで、豚骨に関してもチャーシューをたくさん乗せたりとか、見て楽しんでもらう、食べて楽しんでもらうっていう思いを僕も作らせてもらってます。
Are you ready for some rich umami flavors, Mr. Dog?
Well, when you say it like that, I feel like I'm going to be tortured.
No, it's going to be good. How often do you have ramen?
Once every 2 months. Out of all the Japanese foods, probably the one I eat least.
Why is that?
Because it's the one that kills you the quickest. Oh,
And
see
he grilled that as well. He like flame grilled that.
That's what I'm talking about. That is succulence.
Whoa.
Whoa, you went for the extraordinaire. What is that?
This is called the Ultimate Beef Special, and it's got beef, pork, eggs, more braised beef, more pork, mushrooms. My God.
Ooh. This is marinated meat as well. This is everything I've ever wanted in life.
So a taste of the...
Ooh, that's really lighter than I thought it was going to be.
That's nice. This is, it's quite a light broth here, right? Asari style.
I feel like whenever we go in the countryside and we're like cycling, we stop at like the only ramen spot in town. It's like just like DEFCON 5 level salt. It's just, you just like, we poured the whole thing in.
Well, I think given you've got some fairly salty things here, you've got lots of pork,
True,
beef.
some seaweed too.
It's nice to have a broth that kind of complements that, right? The noodles here, quite thin. Almost
I
like,
love the noodles.
what's that, Hakata, Fukuoka style, right?
Let's give it a shot.
The broth has quite a lot of pork in it, right? It gives it a rich umami flavour, despite being,
You can't say that. It's illegal.
sorry, rich umami flavour.
All right, I'm going for a noodle with pork. Let's do it. Oh my God. Oh, I'm so happy right now.
Man, that beef is so juicy. Wow, beautiful pink, just to the right amount, right? There's a perfect point when it comes to roast beef. It's got to be slightly pink.
I must be the worst person to have on camera right now because I just can't think. I can only eat. I'm just a vessel for eating.
Do you want to try a bit of beef as well?
I've got to have one, yeah, I have one.
Extremely juicy.
I can't believe you share with me. Truly,
It's a rare occasion.
you've become more benevolent after meeting the king. You must have learned a thing or two.
I've learned from King Charles. Yeah.
That's the best chashu I think I've ever had.
I will say, like, when I lived in the countryside, I used to eat ramen once a week because
There's just so much more. There's a lot of places that do it, right?
there's a lot of great mum and pop style shops, and the area I used to live in, Yamagata, was quite famous for its ramen. And then when I moved to Tokyo, I haven't really had ramen much because I haven't found
There's a lot of really bad places, I think.
there's a lot of bad places in Tokyo. I haven't found somewhere that gets me excited enough about ramen to want to frequent it. I think we found a candidate for my new favourite ramen shop in Tokyo.
So this entire video, you're going to become obese? Is that like the thing?
Well, in this video, yeah, it's going to be quite
Balloon
problematic.
Chris, when will he pop? Like a Mario minigame? how many restaurants do we have to go to?
We're going to need another bloody cyclothon at the end of this to see me through. And so our first dish complete and stuffed full of mouth-watering ramen topped with roast beef, we head to our second restaurant to be joined by none other than my fourth best American friend. Ton literally meaning pork, and katsu being an abbreviation of the word cutlet in Japanese. Tonkatsu is another example of a Japanese take on a Western cuisine. Delicious, juicy cuts of pork, battered in panko breadcrumbs, and then deep fried. Tonkatsu might just be Japan's most calorific dish for folks on the go. And like most dishes on today's hit list, tonkatsu isn't quite as simple as it would first appear, with different cuts unleashing a variety of flavours. And to guide us through all that deep fried pork has to offer, we're heading to Tonkatsu.jp, where the restaurant offers the practice of allowing diners to choose which part of the country the pork is sourced from. The first time I've ever seen this in any tonkatsu restaurant.
いらっしゃいませ。
夫婦でトンカツ .jp 表参道というお店をとんかつ屋さんをやっております。
北海道から鹿児島までのさまざまな個人農家からですね、豚肉を仕入れて選んで召し上がっていただけるように揃えております。
鹿児島県のサドルバックのロースカツと静岡県天城黒豚のヒレカツを召し上がっていただきます。
日本のいただきますという精神をここで体感していただきたくて、オープンキッチンで調理をさせて提供しております。
Are you ready? Yes. For one of the best tonkatsu restaurants in Japan, one of the top 100 restaurants. Right?
Yes, I'm ready.
It's rated 3.69
Nice.
on Tabelog, right? Putting it in the top 3% of restaurants in the country. What I love about tonkatsu restaurants is you walk in, it just smells like butter. Because the pork is kind of deep fried in lard.
You may be the only person in history who loves the smell of deep fried lard.
So good.
Pork and butter. What are you talking about?
It's amazing. And check this out, right?
We'll get you that for your cologne for your birthday. Monsieur
lard.
Tonkatsu of lard.
This is incredible. I've never seen this before. Right?
No.
This is a menu. The different cuts of pork. So you've got pork loin and ribeye and whatnot, but also different places that the pork is sourced from. You can choose where it comes from. They've got like the finest kurobuta black pork from Kagoshima, pork from Hokkaido. Like there's different farms around the country where they specialize in raising. Like,
And then this little cool chart right here, this shows us how many of each pig are currently available. So the really small dots,
Yeah.
there's like 10 pigs
Yeah.
of that entire flock. I wouldn't be say flock.
two of them are at the bar today.
You're right. It says right here. There's two fat lardos. That's weird. This is so incredible.
Saddleback. Sounds like Gandalf's horse, Shadowfax. Ride Saddleback, ride us to Gondor. Look at that, the thin, beautiful layer of fat on top there.
This is unlike any tonkatsu I've ever seen. It's much bigger and thicker.
Yeah, you've got different cuts here. So Pete's got Shizuoka,
Shizuoka's black pork.
black pork, and this is Saddleback.
Well, this is an experience. I'm looking forward to this.
Look how thick it is though.
Do I have this in one bite?
No, you'll choke to death. That's the difference between like regular tonkatsu restaurants and this place though. The size of the cut, right? Look at that thick, very decadent cut of pork, and it looks absolutely perfect. Oh my god. Lost for words. I mean, you're the expert. You have this once a week. It's going to be quite interesting to hear.
They're
what you have
two
to say.
different dishes. I
Right.
cannot compare this to regular tonkatsu.
Right.
It's
Right.
impossible. This is so good. The quality of the pork is without question significantly better. I think with like a regular tonkatsu, you have your rice, you have your mustard, you have your tonkatsu sauce, and it's kind of like okonomiyaki in the sense that the sauce kind of covers the pork's low quality, and it's just a fun, quick meal. This, with just a touch of salt, or just as is, lets the pork do the talking.
Let the pork speak for itself.
Yeah.
It's so tender and juicy. It's sort of, you know, jewels of fat in your mouth. Just makes you
Man.
salivate.
I really lucked out today. I was expecting the worst.
How dare you?
This is excellent.
Good ingredients. The best pork in Japan. Battered to perfection. How did you think you could eat that in one bite?
Normally with tonkatsu, it's cut in a way that you have to because it's so chewy. But this one, it's such a soft piece of pork that you can bite into it and still separate it.
That is not. I don't know what you eat in Kansas, but that's not a mouthful.
In Kansas, this would be considered a small, quite frankly.
That's some of the best pork I've had in Japan, hands down. Don't know what they're doing in Shizuoka, but they're doing a bloody good job with those pigs. A full saddleback pig heavier. We move on to our next restaurant, and with a different guest. Yakiniku, literally the characters for grill and meat. You can't get any simpler than that. Most Yakiniku barbecue restaurants deliver the uncooked meat right to your table for you to grill yourself. But given today's special guest, it's probably a good thing we're heading to one of the few Natsuki-proof restaurants in Tokyo. Ebisu Yoroniku not only boasts one of the highest ratings for any Yakiniku restaurant in the country, but they'll meticulously grill the exquisite cuts of A5 Wagyu for you. And today we're joined by Chef Seki-san, the only man in Tokyo who can stop Natsuki from burning down an entire restaurant. Ebisu Yoroniku is one of the few restaurants today with a coveted 4.36 star rating on Tabelog, and we'll be trying their famed taster menu, a course so special that our chef won't even tell us what cuts of meat we'll be tasting.
So first we have our signature dish, silky loin.
Silky loin.
Wow, Dogo, where?
We just call it our special cut, signature cut. So we don't really actually point out the cut, where precisely the cut is from.
And the sauce is a secret as well, right?
Yes.
You don't get to the top without keeping some secrets, right?
So the cut will be served directly into your dipping sauce.
Oh, wow.
So, and it goes with the little rice bowl.
Ooh. Oh.
Man, that was cool. Wow. Silky loin
Wow.
for a silky man.
Oh, beef seats.
A seat for the beef. Come on. Oh my god. Oh, it melts in your mouth. The rice is really good actually because it kind of binds with the beef and the sauce. Otherwise the beef just sort of melts away so fast. The rice kind of helps bring out the flavour.
Beef strip on my tongue.
Or that.
Silky loin, it sits like a seat.
Like a sheet. That's quite poetic actually.
Good taste.
I wouldn't expect anything less from the man that invented Just as Delicious. But it's not just Natsuki's fine poetry that we're being treated to today, as Seki-san prepares the next taster dish of a Chateaubriand beef katsu sandwich. I wouldn't want to get in a fight with Seki-san. Look at that though.
And also for the second half, we have yuzu mustard. It's very spicy, so make sure you add a little bit. It also goes perfectly well with an extra sauce as well. Enjoy.
Good.
Nihonpoi.
The smell of Japan, the citrus, the yuzu, the mustard. He said it's quite spicy though, so I'm a bit worried. Might be the best sandwich I've ever had.
Mint is art. Art is it.
You heard it here first. We continue on with masterly prepared truffle sukiyaki, mixed with a raw egg, whisked to create a light and bubbly coating for the delicious Wagyu. Sweet, savoury, frothy.
And
at the end of our taster course, the rice is soaked in the remaining mixture. A truly indescribable flavour, or so I thought.
今新しい味を僕は発見した。それはね、コロンブスのようであり、マゼランみたい。
Wow, the Columbus of beef. これは Columbus. And so with Yakiniku out of the way and my body now consisting of 70% butter, it's time to share with you how good sukiyaki can be when it becomes the star attraction. For our next dish, we'll be exploring perhaps the most extravagant side of fine dining in Japan. Sukiyaki is a well-known dish, but one that's often not experienced by travellers. A hot pot where thinly sliced cuts of beef are cooked alongside vegetables, such as mushrooms, cabbage and green onions, slowly simmered in a sauce, known as warashita. Historically a symbol of luxury, sukiyaki has its own roots in the Meiji period of Japan, where it was decided the important political and military leaders should be fed something sophisticated and filled with protein, as the country started to take on more Western ideals. The idea that sukiyaki is a luxury dish, saved for special occasions, continues to this day, and nothing could be more special as we're heading to Sukiyaki Jyuniten, a restaurant that specialises in serving the finest cuts of A5 Wagyu from across the whole of Japan.
いらっしゃいませ。私たちの、最高点の12点の、サーロインを使ったすき焼きをご用意させていただきます。出来たてを召し上がっていただきたく、お客様の目の前で、調理させていただいています。私たちのすき焼きは関西風でご用意しております。目で見て楽しんでいただけるようなすき焼きを心がけております。
Oh, it smells so good, so rich. The sauce, right? Sukiyaki sauce, soy sauce, sugar, has this incredible salty sweet kind of scent to it that it's just so delicate. First time I had sukiyaki, I was like, just give it to me as a steak. I don't need it in a hot pot or whatever. And also I was a bit like, raw egg, is that a good idea? Because that goes against everything we kind of raised to believe back home. And yet, what you find with Wagyu is it is very overpowering as steak, right? And when it's served in this way, you can eat so much more of it, and it's such a more complex flavour. And also, after 12 years of having raw eggs, I can report, never had any issues either. Kind of helps add flavour and texture to complement the best goddamn beef in all of Japan. Itadakimasu. Oh my god. Now that is incredible. Look at that. Got the saltiness of the beef itself, that rich, sweet flavour of the sukiyaki sauce. It was so thick as well when he poured it in, the way it hit the beef. Egg yolk kind of locks in all that texture, all that flavour. Sukiyaki, what a treat. But it's not just the finest cuts of A5 Wagyu that make a good sukiyaki. Jyuniten leaves no part of the dish behind, as even the water itself used for the broth is sourced from a national park, Shirakami-sanchi, an isolated forest in most northern Aomori, combined with the freshest vegetables of cabbage, shiitake mushrooms and green onions. Every ingredient is sourced to perfection. Feels like it's my birthday. Typically, you eat sukiyaki at like special occasions, anniversaries, birthdays. You don't normally turn to your friend one night and be like, oh, let's go for sukiyaki. So yeah, I feel like it's a special occasion, even though I've got no friends today whatsoever. My God, I think we have a contender for the most picturesque, stunning, beautiful dish of this entire video. Look at that. All the colours, the leaves, the mushrooms, carrots, beef. I love how half the beef is cooked, half of it's still pink, slowly cooking away in the juices of the hot pot. But this is what makes sukiyaki so special, right? All different textures. You've got the softness of the tofu, the crispiness of the mushrooms. I will say the great tragedy of sukiyaki is not enough foreign tourists ever try it, I feel, unless they go to like a ryokan. So do it. Pick a special night on your 2-week trip to Japan, come here, have this meal, and thank me later, because it's incredible, it really is. And you haven't really had Wagyu until you've had it in a sukiyaki hot pot. After a string of rather heavy dishes, let's get back to something a little bit lighter, starting with some of Japan's most popular noodle dishes, as Connor joins us once again for a popular dish that's said to date back all the way to the 7th century. Udon is characterised by its thicker and chewier noodles, typically served with a much lighter broth compared to the likes of ramen. Though just like ramen, udon comes in many varieties. From kitsune udon, literally fox udon, with a deep-fried flattened piece of tofu, said to be our fox's favourite dish, to the evocative tsukimi udon, literally moon-viewing udon, with a raw egg placed upon the bowl of noodles, to represent the full moon. And today we're heading to Iwashiya, an udon restaurant in Tokyo which prides itself on its very own handmade noodles prepared freshly in-house.
いらっしゃいませ。粉から一から、うどんを作って、出汁も一から引くことによって美味しいものを提供できる店舗になっています。うどんも出汁もなんですけども、毎日、出来を気にしていないと同じものを提供できないっていう点が非常に面白くて、やはり多くのお客様がいらっしゃっているので、美味しいっていう顔をして帰っているのがすごく楽しいところですね。
So most kind of udon restaurants, you come in, you pick which one you want. You have like almost like an assembly line where you go along and you pick your toppings. We're not doing that today because Connor doesn't like to stand for long. We don't want to keep him standing.
Don't blame me.
But one of the things is at the end of your kind of, when you've got your bowl of udon, you paid for it.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is a big bowl of just tempura batter.
Is this normal?
It's normal, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And you take a big spoonful and tip it on your bowl. Get that nice tempura goodness.
Ginger too and spring onion.
And stick with the batter.
The ginger looks good.
Batter. There's more batter on mine than udon at this point.
I think my bowl could fit an entire 3 of those.
You fit half of Wales in that bowl. What have you got then? So you've got curry udon.
Curry udon, which honestly looks amazing.
This is abarage.
Yeah, which I love this stuff. We have fried or tempura asparagus, which, look at the size of this. It's been a good harvest this year. And we have, this is the chicken, which I didn't realise it was literally a full chicken breast, I guess.
It's the full chicken experience, yeah.
What have you gone for?
Also chicken and a very very wide ebi. It's a really big. What happened to this ebi?
They need more surface area to coat it.
But the best bit about udon, right, is the moment where you take your tempura battered items, plonk them in the soup, and get them a little bit wet.
Okay.
I used to get udon a lot in Sendai when I lived there, by the station.
Yeah.
Whenever I was like walking around Sendai doing shopping, I'd always go to udon at the end of the day. It's very kind of hearty, calorific. It makes you feel full. It gives you a food coma, the likes of which you'll never have in your life. But you come out feeling pretty damn satisfied, especially in winter. It was always, quite cold up in North Japan. So
this is a lot thinner udon than I'm used to, actually, but really nice.
All over me. Thanks, mate. Okay.
I'm making a mess. I realise that curry udon is not the prettiest thing.
That's why I don't get curry udon, because by the end of this meal it's going to look like you've been rolling around in a puddle again.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel that way. I'm trying to get the udon coated here. Actually, I want to make sure I can get my giant asparagus coated.
I hate that the whole time I'm trying to eat this, I can feel the gentle splashing of curry on my arm. It's getting really quite concerning.
Luckily I'm okay. I'm okay.
But yeah, udon, whether it's summertime or winter, always hits the spot.
That wasn't me. He spilled it on himself.
I'm not coming out with you again. And with Connor once again ruining the atmosphere of a high-end noodle restaurant, let's try and bring a little bit of elegance back to the video. Time to get rid of my least favourite Welshman and bring in my most favourite Canadian fiancé as we head all the way to Kyoto to try. Earthy and rich buckwheat noodles. Soba is often seen in Japan as a little bit more of a refined meal. Simple tastes and flavours, not to be overpowered by the saltiness or oiliness of something like a ramen broth. Traditionally, soba is eaten with a simple soy-based dipping sauce called tsuyu. But today we're going all out at Saryo Tesshin, a soba restaurant that takes the dish all the way to 11. While I'll be enjoying a classic kamo namban, literally tender duck served with soba in a warm broth, Sharla's opted for the spectacular daigo soba, a chilled soba flavoured with dashi, olive oil, and half a block of parmesan cheese. And if I knew just how much cheese that it would be served with, I'd have probably gone for that one as well.
いらっしゃいませ。10割そばと毎朝削ります枕崎産の鰹節を削ってお出汁を取ります。それと焼き上げた京鴨の油を合わせたお出汁で京鴨南蛮を作っております。と大子そばはですね、10割そばにイタリアから取り寄せました36ヶ月熟成のパルミジャーノチーズを削ってオリーブオイルとそしてお出汁をかけましてお召し上がりいただいております。また海外からいろんなお客様が来ていただきまして、私たちが作ったお蕎麦を美味しい喜んでくださるのが私たちの喜びです。
Cheers! Hey, gin soda in what might be the most luxurious soba noodle restaurant in all of Japan.
It's so pretty in here. It feels like a high-end sushi restaurant. I've never seen any soba restaurant like it.
Yeah, the epic counter, and then they've got this incredible artwork behind, right, with the tiger unraveling some wool and some bonsai trees. Wonderful, wonderful.
You get the Kyoto vibes for sure.
I'll tuck into mine. Itadakimasu. Here we go.
Itadakimasu. That's delicious.
I will try some in a bit.
My God, that's so good. The cheese is so flavorful. It pairs really well with the dashi broth.
I won't lie, I did sort of stop eating soba noodles after my last wanko soba noodle attempt with you and Connor.
I'm the same. I can't eat them for about 3 or 4 months afterwards.
Yeah. When we lived in Tohoku, I'd say you and I went for soba noodles more than any other dish, right? Because they are everywhere and beloved by the people of Tohoku. Yeah, the soup is a crucial part of the soba noodles, right? Kind of like dashi with a sort of tanginess to it. There's a sharp sort of tanginess at the end of it from the onions and the duck. Yeah, it's a really nice broth. Alright, my moment of truth. Is the mountain of cheese on the soba noodles better than the duck one? Oh, it's a close one.
Really?
I actually think I prefer this. I think I prefer this.
Shocking.
It feels more well-rounded, you know.
Fair enough.
That just tastes very cheesy, which is normally right up my alley, but today I want to mix the flavours up a bit. This restaurant, it's as much about the dish as it is about the setting, and it feels very relaxing, very calm in here, under the watchful gaze of the tigers. Beautiful restaurant, beautiful restaurant. As we return to Tokyo, it's time for one of the best rated restaurants on our list, with one of the lowest rated guests on our trip. And I have to say, this is a restaurant that I've been looking forward to perhaps more than any other, serving my absolute favourite, quintessentially Japanese dish. Yaki meaning to grill or cook, and tori meaning bird, in this case chicken. There's no other dish that symbolises the Japanese attention to simple flavours done well, quite like yakitori. From thigh and breast to liver and heart, no part of the chicken is left unused. And it takes a certain precision by master yakitori chefs to know exactly when each piece is perfectly cooked. A process that some chefs can understand simply by lifting up the skewers and knowing how the perfect chicken feels. The ultimate sixth sense. And one I've also come to perfect over many years eating Family Mart fried chicken. While chicken on a stick grilled over an open flame may not seem like the hardest dish to make, Japan has a secret weapon in the form of binchotan, Japanese white charcoal, a prized charcoal typically sourced from Wakayama that's famed for its high carbon content, allowing a high consistent temperature and minimal odour, unleashing the full flavours of the meat without compromising the taste. At its core, yakitori is traditionally a street food, springing up in the late 19th century, with the offcuts and innards of game fowl being a cheaper alternative to pricier cuts of meat. Today, however, yakitori has been refined into the ultimate dining experience, savouring each and every cut, with restaurant Torisawa currently enjoying a waiting list of 3 months just to get in the door. Now then, let's find out why that's the case.
So of the 12 restaurants we're filming in this video, this is the one that I've been looking forward to the most, yakitori, for reasons we'll get into in a minute. And I need to come here, I needed to bring a very special friend. Fortunately, they're all busy though, so we're stuck with Ryotaro. How you doing? Right?
Very good. Very well. Thanks for the invitation.
You've come to this hidden yakitori restaurant.
Very hidden. I got lost. I couldn't find where the restaurant was.
Find the entrance. So the waiting list for this yakitori place is like 3 or 4 months.
Yes, I heard that.
Took a long time to get in here, so stakes are high. I'm very excited.
What did you use to get into this restaurant?
Just time and patience.
Right, okay, there you go. Wow. See the way they serve it, you know, just like sushi, an expensive sushi restaurant.
At the yakitori restaurant I used to go to, I'd get like a whole plate and it'd arrive on like a shovel, like a bucket.
There you go.
And it's nice to have it one at a time so you can enjoy it. So look at that, glistening in the light.
Wow. Itadakimasu.
Oh, beautiful char grilled smell, right?
Couldn't wait.
Hot. Oh wow. Mmm.
The char.
Oh,
the char. Wow.
More char than Charizard. That's so juicy.
How could it be this tender? It was like
skill, lots of skill. It's so tender, so juicy, and that's that's what makes yakitori so special, right? Cooking the meat so you can enjoy it at its absolute best. It's kind of subtly salty as well.
Yes, yes. The amount of salt is just perfect. Did you see how he salted the meat? The way he did it?
Kind of like this. What? How do you do it?
That's what he did.
It's quite unsettling.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Thigh.
Still sizzling as well. I love the way a lot of yakitori comes all the way down the skewer. This is kind of just at the end of it, right? But it's so like well balanced, so thick. It's a bountiful piece of chicken.
I mean, you know what? It's just so nice just looking at it. You know what I mean?
Like you want to eat it?
Yeah, I don't want to eat it, but I want to eat it.
Oh, smell that. Smell it. Don't eat it yet. Wait, smell it.
Can't wait.
Savour the scent of the chicken. All right, now you can eat it.
Holy.
That is one of the most superbly grilled piece of chicken I've ever had in my life. Bloody hell.
Sexiest chicken thigh I've ever had in my life.
That's a description. The most description we've ever had. You know it's good when I eat it slowly. Usually I'm like, oh, next one, oh, next one.
You eat like a dog, you know, when you're like...
That's why we try to find other people to come today. Still, it's not all meat. Also have eggs. This is quail's egg, right?
Yes, it is. Did you see it's like, look, the egg yolk. It's coming out of it. I've never seen this before.
That's the first time the egg yolk's been running. You're getting recoil.
What is this?
That's the egg yolk of the gosh.
What is going on?
For some context, this is quite hard and rubbery, right?
It is, yeah.
It's actually the one I like the least probably, because it's usually butchered at yakitori restaurants. It comes out hard. This place, you bite into it and that rich, that sort of gooey, beautiful yolk comes out. Oh, it's so much more flavourful for it.
Wow.
Describe the flavours for us, Ryotaro.
Yellow. It's a colour.
Oh boy. But not even Ryotaro's awful descriptions of flavours can stop me enjoying perhaps the best yakitori that I've ever had, as we continue on with tsukune, essentially chicken meatballs covered in a rich and sweet tare sauce. And bonjiri, rich and fatty tail meat, which I regrettably mentioned to Ryotaro sounds a little bit like Bon Jovi.
Ryotaro used to work on the docks.
But our final dish in our omakase course is something that I've never tried before in any yakitori restaurant. Chochin, named after the Japanese word for lantern, given its bright yellow appearance, which happens to be the yolk of a chicken before the hard outer shell can form. Can this really be good?
What the hell? That was incredible. It pops like a balloon.
Really?
Egg balloon. Wow! It just pops. And
We
then
did.
all the egg yolk runs out, and you're like, that's so good. Bloody hell. Well, it's like a fucking wizard's potion. Magic.
And because the meat came with it, like you just, as
get-
you chew it, yeah.
Nice, savoury, juicy cut
Wow.
meat. The sheer like dedication to the craft, you know.
Yeah.
I felt it here in every bite. The best yakitori I've ever had.
Oh yeah, definitely, for me too.
What, you owe me. You owe me for this.
Yeah, so how should I pay back to you? Should I find another
You've
restaurant
got to find
somewhere?
the second best yakitori restaurant in Japan.
Second best. All right. Okay.
This is the first.
Unfortunately, we can't spend all day going to the second, third, fourth best yakitori restaurants in Tokyo, and so we move on to our next dish, and one that might be, in my opinion, Japan's most underrated dish of them all. Unagi is usually reserved for special occasions. Rich, fatty, and coated in a sweet, sticky soy sauce glaze. It's the perfect dish for those coming to Japan who may not be a fan of overly fishy flavours. Cooked traditionally in the kabayaki style, where an eel is split right down the middle, deboned and skewered over an open flame, like some sort of elaborate eel medieval torture. Typically, you'll find the dish served as unagi, placed on top of rice in an ornate lacquer box. A luxurious and refined dish for only the most cultured of taste buds. Oh, and Pete. Today we're heading to Sumiyaki Unafuki in Yurakucho, a restaurant that specialises in different types of unagi-based dishes.
Cheers!
Kanpai.
Hey! So when I woke up this morning I thought, what do you get the man that has everything in life? And I thought, unagi.
I'm the man who has everything?
You have everything. Unagi. The most delicate, refined, luxurious Japanese fish you'll ever find. Unagi is quite popular this time of year because it's known for having lots of stamina, right? It's good for stamina.
Exactly.
Full of protein, omega-3, fatty acids. As I've said before, from the UK, the image of eel is usually very bad.
Why?
Because we have like jellied eels.
Oh,
in the
that's
UK.
disgusting.
And it's not. It doesn't look like this golden battered beautiful treat. Anyway, onwards with the unagi. So this is a dashimaki tamago with a bit of unagi.
Let's see how. What do we think?
Dashi fish broth infused with the tamago gives it a sort of nice fishy undertone, right? And the eel is a real little luxurious treat. I'm really excited about this though. This is just pure crispy unagi, right? And we're gonna have unagi don in a minute, like a nice.
There's more?
This is the beginning. This is the start. And look, there's some unagi liver just for you, Pete. You can have that. Delicious unagi liver.
All right, ready? Kanpai, itadakimasu. Okay.
It's okay.
That's quite good. I quite liked it.
It's actually not bad.
Yeah.
One of those things you sort of look at and go, oh yes, I'll pass on that one normally, but actually really juicy and crispy. Now try this one. This is
Okay. I'll try a little sonomama as is, and then a little touch of shoyu soy sauce. Let's see.
It's almost like crisps. Potato chips.
The great British mind. He's traveled all 47 prefectures, and he comes up with it tastes like crisps.
You do a description there.
So this is really well made. It removed a lot of the fishy taste that can overpower a lot of like freshwater or saltwater fish. It's flaky, it's crispy, it's quite succulent, and it has a great aftertaste. It reminds me of how wonderful food can be when it's prepared well.
But bring on unagi don. And the bit where unagi gets really good is with the sweet, sticky soy sauce drizzled over the top. Whoa. So you can choose what you do with it. You can eat it as it is, or you can put it in here and have like a bit of broth and turn it into like a
But
soup dish.
this is green tea, right? Ochazuke is pretty traditional. It's like a porridge almost, but not as much water.
I like it as it is. Customize it to your taste buds.
It's like Marco Pierre White. So to taste. Wow. So
this is jaw unagi, literally high quality, top grade unagi on a bed of rice, and it smells like a sweet soy sauce dream. So thick and the sauce on the unagi is what gives it its character though. But this is like a purist unagi we had here. So
like the sashimi version.
Yeah, right.
Let's tuck in. Ooh, oh wow, these are finely cut as well, so I get all my little pieces.
These are good.
That is excellent.
Really.
You gotta try it. Mine's, this is excellent.
How would you describe unagi? It's kind of like meaty. The fish is
Yeah,
quite
it doesn't remind me
fleshy.
of a fish dish. Like it's in its own little category of like you got like there's steaks, there's pork, there's fish, and then you've got this nice little spot carved out for unagi.
Because the sort of the fish, the meat isn't so fatty, it all blends together and it kind of has almost a creamy texture to it as you chew it.
The Wagyu A5 of fish.
It is.
Yeah, there you go.
Can you feel your stamina rising?
No, I feel better already. When I first saw your face, imminent dread. What am I gonna have to do today?
Is he gonna chain me to a fence and throw me off the roof?
So I was prepared for the worst, but each passing moment I feel better and better. That might be the beer though. I haven't decided.
And with my American friend full of eels, it's time to move on to our next restaurant.
So I usually bring people to teppanyaki when I want to impress them, like people of importance. But everyone of importance was busy today, so we got Alex Shapiro, Tokyo Portfolio.
Hi guys.
What could $2 million buy you in Tokyo?
Teppanyaki, literally meaning to grill on an iron plate, is perhaps the most theatrical dish that we'll be encountering on our culinary journey. The culture of teppanyaki restaurants is said to have kicked off in Kobe after the Second World War, where stationed American soldiers, unhappy with okonomiyaki pancakes, demanded a steak to be cooked on the grill instead. Naturally, the presence of your very own chef cooking the tantalizing ingredients before your eyes means that it is indeed one of Japan's pricier dining experiences, but undeniably one of the most memorable. And here at Kazushi Teppan in Kanda, Alex and I are lucky to find ourselves seated before skilled chef Inoue over a mouth-watering special lunch course.
I find people get really impressed by teppanyaki. It's that kind of theatricality, being able to see into the kitchen, the chef preparing the food. It's an experience, isn't it? Watching the beautiful Miyazaki beef marbled to perfection, being carefully grilled on all sides. Just having the food prepared before you.
Exactly.
And that's why I love teppanyaki, and that's why when people come to Japan, it's where I bring them. And I've never had anyone walk out and go, I didn't like that.
It's all very simple too. You know, it's just steak that's grilled with a little bit of salt on it. You have some vegetables as well. Very simple, just using the ingredients to its fullest potential. That's kind of the opposite of what the American version would be, which is what they call hibachi.
Right.
So Benihana, for instance, I'm sure you heard of that. But they have to make up for it with the volcanoes and all that kind of stuff, and the juggling of shrimp. At a real teppanyaki place, you can see the kind of accoutrements that you have in front of you. It's just salt, different kind of salt, a little bit of pepper, wasabi, and some soy sauce with some maybe ginger or something in it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Minimalism. Have you won over any clients in the real estate business by bringing them to teppanyaki?
Absolutely, because the less they need to look at me, the more they're interested in buying the thing, you know?
So if you're doing business in Japan, bring your client to teppanyaki.
Do that.
Miyazaki wins like more awards than anyone.
Yeah, everybody
People
says-
think, oh, Kobe beef's the number one. It's not actually. It's usually Miyazaki.
It is.
I don't know what their secret is. I find at teppanyaki, at every other restaurant I go to, I'm like, like Augustus Gloop.
Yes.
Out of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But when it comes to teppanyaki, I take my time. I save every bite. I admire the beef, what it is.
Yes.
Rich smell.
Ready for an umami bomb?
It's going to be very umami. I'm worried about how many times I've used umami in this video. It's going to be like take a shot every time you hear umami flavors in this video. Right?
Now's your time, guys.
I'm going to start with Miyazaki rump.
Let's try the rump. He says go with the pepper.
Pepper.
Yeah, the middle one.
So we've got garlic, soy sauce, wasabi pepper, British salt. What's this salt here?
This one is a seaweed salt.
Seaweed salt.
Yeah.
Kombu salt. Oh, it's so perfect.
Look at that.
Beautiful pink. Oh, it's so juicy. The moment you put like good Wagyu in your mouth, the whole mouth salivates, right?
That's actually, yeah.
Buttery oiliness. But this is the best way to try steak, right? There's lots of ways you can have Japanese steak, but teppanyaki is the way to do it. The thing about Wagyu is it has a subtle sweetness to it from the fat.
It does. And bringing it out with that salt just makes it huge.
I will say my favorite and my recommendation when it comes to Wagyu, have it with wasabi. The wasabi, the kind of subtle spiciness of the wasabi really goes well with the sweet, umami kind of flavors of the beef. Take another shot. So we've got 60 grams of A5 Wagyu beef here, right? Which doesn't sound a lot to most folks coming from the West, where it's like, I'll have a 300 gram steak. Like
300 gram? I'll have a pound of steak. What are you talking about?
You can't do this in big quantities, right?
Absolutely not. I have a friend who's a sumo wrestler, and he was telling me that he can only have about this much Wagyu at a time.
That's
not that much.
80 grams.
Let's call it 80 grams, yes. But, you know, he can go to America and he can have an entire porterhouse steak by himself. no problem, just because it's not as heavy. Right?
It's the fat. It's the fat.
It is the fat. It's the fat. But I mean, also with the fat, you have all the flavor, right?
Absolutely.
And you don't have as much chew, so I don't know. This comes down a lot easier, right?
Well, you owe me, Alex. You owe me for getting one of the
How
best
do I-
restaurants. This is one of the finest restaurant, right?
Yes.
It's 3.65.
Is it? Wow.
On Travelog, which makes it one of the top 100 teppanyaki restaurants in all of Japan, and in the top 3% restaurants in Japan as well.
I would believe it. I mean, this is, one of the best teppanyaki meals I've had in a very long time.
What's my reward though? Where are you going to take me to follow this up?
I
Can't be beaten.
I got the perfect place for cheese boards. What do you think?
I like the way you think. Cheers.
Tasting Japan's top 12 cheese boards sounds like a rather good idea for a follow-up video. Alas, right now, we must continue on with our next meal, with Sharla joining us once again to taste a staple food of the Osaka region. Literally translating to cook whatever you want, okonomiyaki is a dish that's history dates all the way back to the 16th century. But its modern form is said to be a result of the Great Kanto earthquake in the 1920s, where people, low on most amenities, would throw whatever they could into a savoury pancake. Now a popular dish all over the country, there's a bit of contention as to what the main style of okonomiyaki is. The Osaka style is a thicker, heartier pancake where all the ingredients are mixed together, while the Hiroshima style has many thin layers of batter and eggs placed upon the noodles. Wars have been fought over which is the superior okonomiyaki, but what if I told you there's a secret third option? Negiyaki, as Sharla and I head to Negiyaki Yamato, the birthplace of one of Osaka's ultimate staple foods.
いらっしゃいませ。本日は一番人気の筋ネギとお好み焼きの海鮮を作らせていただきます。ネギ焼きはいわゆる関西の青ネギをたくさん使ったもので、お醤油とレモンであっさりと。お好みはおソース味でちょっとスパイシーなおソースなんですけれど、それを本日作らせていただきます。初めてネギ焼きを食べられるお客様とかにお好み焼きと全く違うというもので、新しいネギ焼きというものを知っていただく時が一番嬉しいですね。美味しいと言っていただけるのももちろん嬉しいですし、やりがいがあります。
So this restaurant, Negiyaki Yamamoto, popularized negiyaki 60 years ago, which is kind of like okonomiyaki with lots and lots of spring onions. Looks very visual as well, right, with the colours.
So this is a traditional okonomiyaki. It's a savory pancake batter filled with seafood and topped with a sweet and tangy sauce. This sauce is a lot thicker than the negiyaki sauce.
Do you know what the sauce is called in British English? Your old favourite, Worcestershire. Yeah.
Shall we dig in?
Absolutely. Also, if it sounds like a train is about to burst through the wall, it's because we're beneath the train tracks at Osaka Station. Half the fun of okonomiyaki is getting a spatula and cheekily portioning off your own little slice like a pizza. Some do it better than others. Done one slice and she's already cut hers up. Charlotte, you're ferocious. You're like, in samurai, I can't even get one slice.
This is why Chris doesn't do the cooking at home.
Oh, it smells bloody good.
Itadakimasu. Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
That's really flavorful. The flavors of the dashi are really strong.
It's so crispy, the outer shell of the okonomiyaki. And you've got the sort of green onions, right? Really satisfying, refreshing taste. The sweetness of the sauce on top, and that lemon, of course. And nice, chewy, juicy bits of beef sliced in there. There's quite a few differences between Osaka and Hiroshima style. I will say I do prefer Hiroshima style okonomiyaki slightly more, because I like the way they layer it up, right? They build up the pancake, whereas Osaka style, it's all sort of mixed together and the batter's placed down on the grill. Both bloody brilliant. And negiyaki for the first time today. I mean, these pancakes alone taste completely different, right? The thing about okonomiyaki is you get so much bang for your buck, right? This is about 1,300 yen, like $10. And it's like a whole meal in a pancake. And once you've eaten it, I promise you, you won't need to eat again for a very long time. But it's a very commonly eaten dish, right? It's very casual. That's what I like about okonomiyaki. It's not like a revered luxury dish. Anybody can come in off the street, grab themselves a hearty lunch or dinner, stuff themselves with pancakes and go home feeling fulfilled and with a big smile on their face.
In some restaurants, you cook it yourself. In this one, they cooked it for us, but in some places, they'll give you a big bowl of batter and you stir it up and fry it up in front of yourself.
Unless you're a good cook like Sharla, I wouldn't do that. Again, it just ends up with batter all over people's faces when I do it. I'm fucking bashing the pancake with a hammer. Bloody love okonomiyaki. If you're in Osaka, check it out. Under the shadow of the smiling negi onions on the wall.
They're so cute.
As we say goodbye to Sharla and the laughing green onions, we move on to a Japanese dish that may just be the guiltiest pleasure of them all. Ironically, though now considered iconic in Japanese cuisine, tempura was first brought to Japan by the Portuguese in the 16th century. Blah blah blah, I want my shimak. Blah blah blah, and a bucket of tempura. The trick to good tempura lies in the light crispy batter, a delicate coating that's neither too oily nor too heavy, prepared using an ice-cold batter that's not over-mixed or over-fried. A process Chef Uchi knows all too well, as we begin the special omakase course at Tempura Ginza Onodera, one of the highest-rated tempura restaurants in all of Tokyo.
When you walk into a tempura restaurant though, the smell is overpowering, that wonderful sweet fried smell. Nutty undertones from the sesame kind of goma oil they use here. And here they use a mixture of goma and cottonseed oil. And interestingly, despite tempura literally being fresh food stuck in a kind of vat of oil, one word I wouldn't use to describe tempura is oily. The moment the food comes out and the oil runs off, it sort of dries instantly, leaving this fresh, crispy coating. And that's the difference between good and bad tempura, right? The oil is there to lock in the flavour. And enough talking and more eating. Look at that. I don't think I've ever had this. I've never had uni battered. A little bit of salt. Oh, oh my god. The way the tempura helps secure that shiso leaf around the uni, creamy uni. I think when we think of tempura, we don't normally think of dishes like this, food like this. I think people underestimate the level of skill and precision perhaps that goes into tempura. Don't forget, you've got to cut it just right so it cooks perfectly in the oil. And the oil is 185 degrees Celsius. Don't put your fingers in there. Chefs have to absolutely know by the second how long the food needs to linger in the oil, right, to cook it perfectly. And what's incredible about this, and this is Yamagata beef, which I'm very happy about, my favourite beef in Japan, having lived there. The batter is incredibly thin. You can barely see it, right? If I didn't know this was a tempura restaurant, this was just served to me, I might not even notice it off the bat that there's tempura. And it's all about locking in that flavour, enhancing the flavour of the seafood, the meat, and having a nice crispy outer shell. Oh my god. The only way Wagyu gets better is when you batter it. Write that down, put it on the wall. Batter the Wagyu. I don't think there's a single cuisine in the world that can't be improved by battering it in 185 degree oil. This is it. We've found the ultimate food. This would be what I would request at my last supper. Battered Wagyu from Yamagata.
And finally, 11 dishes out of the way, we move on to the last Japanese cuisine of our epic culinary adventure, and perhaps the dish most synonymous with Japan. Sushi is one of Japan's most complex and longest-lived dishes, with some suggesting it dates back to the 3rd century BCE, where fish was fermented with salt vinegar and rice, before the rice was actually discarded. But it wasn't until the Edo era, where fermented rice stopped being used in favour of vinegar, and sushi as we know it today started to be served with sumeshi, literally vinegared rice. Today we're heading to legendary restaurant Udatsu Sushi, the best of the very best, where Master Chef Udatsu-san will be taking us through a course of the restaurant's signature dishes. It's perhaps the only restaurant in the whole country where Connor might just forgive me for last year's island camping debacle.
いらっしゃいませ。目で、楽しむ部分と職人板前が作る、作品をアートとして店のコンセプトにしてやらせてもらってます。お客様が、一番喜んでもらえるっていうのが一つの大事なポイントですけども、やっぱその生産者さんたちがこう一生懸命作ってるものを我々がお料理をして、提供するってところをちゃんとお客様にお伝えして喜んでもらえるってところをやっぱ一番フォーカスして、やらせてもらってます。
So is it fair to say this is one of the most famous
Udatsu, yeah, I mean,
sushi restaurants in the world?
To get in here, it takes at least a month minimum. The reservation
being
list.
friends with Chris?
We can make it happen.
I asked to film here, they told me, sorry. Not for a man of your caliber.
When you've met the Emperor, open his doors, mate.
Wow. しめ鯖のハーブ巻きです。
It's like art, you can't eat that. It's too perfect. Look at it. I love mackerel. It's so like meaty, isn't tender.
Yeah.
Oh.
That is phenomenal. I've never had mackerel taste that good in my life.
No, that's why you're here.
Normally when you get mackerel in Japan, I feel like it's one of the cheaper fishes, and it's normally, I don't know, kind of like flaky. It falls apart really easily, but that one's so smooth.
That was like so perfectly crafted. It felt like nothing was going to make that unfold.
Of sushi. Whoa, what is that?
Enshrouded in mist.
続いて大トロの燻製ですね。大トロ、マグロを、お米の藁で炙って藁の香りしっかりつけて、でお塩とわさびで味整えて、最後ちょっとこう燻製をイメージして、じゃあアップルウッドです。リンゴの木の煙入ってるんで、蓋開けて香り楽しんでから召し上がってください。
Oh my god!
I probably shouldn't have inhaled it that close. It's just pure smoke.
That's the single most beautiful piece of fish I've ever seen in my life. You've ruined me. I can't go back to normal sushi. Sushi?
It's so good you can't even speak.
Sushi.
Wow, my god. Otoro is like, usually you have it, wherever you have it, it tastes the same. It's got that beautiful buttery richness, but by smoking it, it's given it such a nice character.
I feel like I need to like stand outside and have a cigarette to just contemplate how good that was.
I feel like I just had a cigarette when I inhaled the smoke.
That is the single best piece of Otoro I've ever tasted.
That was definitely the best Otoro I've ever had. Jesus.
アナゴの白焼きとアナゴの骨で出汁を取ったジュレ、それとあとこれも梶谷さんのハーブになります。
Anago.
Anago is one of my favorites. Conger eel in English.
Yes.
I'm scared. What if I can never have this again? I can tell it's all going to be amazing.
The vinaigrette jelly.
I'm happy we're friends, you know. I really am.
This friendship finally paid off.
Yeah. This is what it's all about. I toiled, I waited for this. You have the clean flavor of the eel mixed with, I mean, and it's nicely grilled as well. And the vinaigrette is so refreshing.
Made up for the island debacle now, haven't I?
You can torture me for a day if I get this every time.
Deal.
Okay, that's a deal, that's a deal.
Time for the next video idea I've got planned. Bungee jump into a bucket of knives experience.
Oh, great. Is that a local culture somewhere?
It's just a weeknight in Wales, isn't it?
Oh my god.
But unlike a weeknight in Wales, our evening only gets better as Udatsu-san continues to serve up masterfully crafted nigiri with the neta or topping of sea bass, ebi shrimp, and even fatty otoro tuna, stone grilled right before our very eyes.
Am I crazy? I feel like I can taste every grain of rice. Every piece of rice tastes so good.
So I find that's the thing most places screw up, right? The rice, the shadi. They always say, don't they, like sushi chefs I spent 8 years learning how to do rice and it's like how to craft the, and
it's not so excessive, but then when you actually try it, yeah.
Arguably the most important part of a good sushi restaurant.
Yeah, no.
The shadi.
But perhaps the most exciting dish of today's sushi selection is freshly sourced uni from the island of Nishiri in Hokkaido, paired with tequila.
Con was like, I'll eat anything as long as it's not uni. And then the chef was like, but it's served with tequila. And he was like, I'll have it.
最初一口飲んでいただいて、でその後にで最後テキーラで。
You're gonna like that. It's so good.
Really? I'll convert if it's good.
That's the best uni I've ever had by far. That's really good, man.
Did the tequila help?
It sort of punctuates it. You got the
Let me take another sip.
tequila at the back of your throat. Oh, it's so creamy.
As somebody who can't normally stand uni, that was good. Yeah, normally the intense kind of like, it's normally just too much for me, but the tequila actually mellowed it out a lot. I can see why the pairing works.
Got a really nice, creamy, rich sort of texture to uni.
Wow.
And it all just comes together so well.
Come on in. Oishi.
And with Connor now an uni convert, we move on to our final dish of the video. Elements of different dishes that we've tried throughout our entire hour-long course, wrapped in one neat final package.
This is insanity. Right? Yours looks like a garden in Kyoto.
It does. This is heavy.
Can you do that in one bite?
No, I can't.
I want to see you do it.
I don't think you can eat yours in one bite. Surely not.
Absolutely stunning. And it's all the different cuts of tuna in there, right? You've got the otoro, the chutoro.
So many flavours. It's almost overpowering.
It's like a whole sushi meal in one. It's almost like reliving the whole meal in one mouthful. What a bloody cool idea. 10 out of 10. The best sushi I've ever had.
That was really good.
You owe me.
I think you owe me 4 more of these. Let's come back tomorrow.
And there we have it, guys. 12 of the greatest dishes Japan has to offer from the greatest restaurants that serve them. And myself now a full 12 kilograms heavier than when this video began. I'm not even joking. It's not... Oh boy, oh god. From becoming the Columbus of beef to enjoying a mouthful of tasty egg yolk, there's not a culinary stone left unturned. But let us know in the comments which dish you want to try the most when visiting Japan. And a big thank you once again to Tabalong for arranging all the restaurants for filming. Make sure to check out their English website and the links to the restaurants tucked away in the description box below. Now if you don't mind me, I need to go and buy a treadmill. Oh boy. Still, it was worth it.
Signature.
It's just a piece of plywood.
It is. Ah, that's nice. Please tell me you got that. Please tell me you got that. Please tell me. We gotta put that in.
He's so good at describing food. He's better than anyone I know at describing food.
Really? Columbus?
Columbus, like Columbus discovering new cuisine.
What are you then?
He's the failed explorer who didn't make it across the Atlantic. Barry fucking...
I found Indonesia instead of India.
You're the Barry Smith, the guy whose fucking boat couldn't get out port from Portsmouth.